Tonight, a wicked wind.
You could feel the home moving with the wind, and you could see the trees just bending and bending.
Trees down, power lines broken, and shingles torn off roofs. A look at the destruction left behind following a powerful windstorm.
Everything's gone. It just got sucked right up.
And sudden destruction. How a rural home was destroyed in a matter of seconds. Also tonight, close call.
Any firearm or anything that appears like as a firearm is treated as such by police officers.
Why a recent incident has police once again warning students and parents about the risks of the senior assassin game.
CTV News. From downtown Winnipeg with Taylor Brock.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Hendricks. Manitobans from west to east are picking up the pieces after an incredibly windy day Thursday. Some are having to cut up down trees to recover their vehicles. CTV's Harrison Shin begins our top story team coverage.
This is the aftermath of Thursday's dust storm in Wolseley. This tree couldn't withstand the wind. It crushed a car parked on Style Street.
I was parked down there yesterday. That would have been my truck.
Throughout the city, the storm left fallen construction signs, fences, and collapsed steel structures. Here in the Spence neighborhood, an apartment building lost its steel shingles. They flew off and scattered on the ground, with some of them damaging the parked vehicles. However, the city's forester, Martha Barinsky, says the wind hasn't had a big impact on trees.
We had about 45 service requests that came in as a result of the wind, and the majority of it really was of those service requests were downed branches, just debris from the trees.
Barinsky adds a handful of trees fell down as of mid-morning Thursday. The late spring also played a factor since the trees haven't fully leafed out. The wind didn't affect them as much. On the dust storm front, Environment and Climate Change Canada says two factors contributed to it.
Duration of the winds and the strength of that wind, and also that really how dry the upper column of the soil column is right now. So it was able to get that sort of soil particles lifted and sort of really become suspended and come right across the Prairie provinces.
And the researcher from University of Manitoba says this storm was more intense than typical May.
I looked at any storm that gets within 800 kilometers of Winnipeg, going back to 1940 for this data set. And this storm was stronger than 94% of all of the storms that we see at this time of year.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
And it's not just in Winnipeg where the winds were wreaking havoc. Out west, fire crews and homeowners were also grappling with the relentless wind. CTV's Joseph Bernacki reports from Carman, where the local fire department barely has time to rest from all that wind.
Deputy Chief Joey McElroy says in nearly 2 decades as a volunteer firefighter in Carman, these last 2 days have been among the most difficult. The department battled 6 fires in the last 24 hours, many of which were fanned by Mother Nature.
The winds have been excessive. We got out of the truck at times and you couldn't even breathe. Debris, soot, everything's just flying in your face, and then the fire's moving fast too. You're trying to get out ahead of it without getting in jeopardy.
He says the fire risk grew substantially throughout Thursday evening. A combination of grass fires and downed hydro lines led to 4 fires just outside town, and the winds weren't helping.
Trees touching branches is the biggest one. The last one of the evening there, the line is pretty high voltage and the branch was touching it. We watched it arc for 45 minutes.
Just hours ago, the dirt on these farm fields just east of Carman is disappearing. Back in town, staff at the Carman Vet Clinic came into work to find pieces of the roof were not where they should be.
I don't really know. I just kind of cleaned up the shingles and started working. So told my boss about it and said we'll have to fix that when the wind dies down, I guess.
And the destruction did not stop in Carman. Just off the Trans-Canada Highway in Brandon, the storm flattened its iconic Esso gas station sign. Further north, Darren Sharon, who lives near Russell, lost the roof off his mobile home he was renovating. He said his daughter's room is damaged beyond repair.
Because everything went straight up. But her room, everything's gone. It just got sucked right up, and now it just rained on the bed and everything's kind of damaged in there. And so that's kind of a write-off.
Back in Carman, McElroy says the storm added to already record calls in May. And should conditions this spring stay the same, calls could get worse.
We've had about 16 calls this month so far. I think this one makes 17 this morning in 15 days. That's extremely busy for us.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Carmen.
Tonight, Manitoba Hydro crews still have a lot of work ahead of them to bring the lights back on across the province.
This was a significant weather event.
Spokesperson Peter Chura says there were 260 outages as of this morning. And while some have been restored throughout the day, the utility may not even know about all the outages yet. We're told it's too early to say when power will be restored for everyone. At last check, outages were being reported right across southern Manitoba.
This is severe winds, so the winds are not only blowing the lines down, they're blowing trees onto lines, they're blowing debris around, roofing material, you name it, can hit the lines and cause fires or cause outages. So we're seeing a lot of different kinds of damage from these severe winds.
Chura says if you see a line down, do not go near it. Instead, stay at least 10 meters away and call 911. Well, the damage from the wind has been wide and far-reaching and often unexpected.
I have another roommate that came out of the shower and he's like, hey, I think a tree hit the house.
And that roommate was right. The wind knocked one of the trees on Jeff Kaler's property in Brandon over, hitting the roof of his home. He says the tree has been there for decades, withstanding many past storms. However, the wind that blew through the city Thursday was more than enough to knock it over. Kaler says that he's lucky his home wasn't badly damaged.
Well, you can see here on the eaves troughs where it's dented, and it only took out maybe about 5 or 6 shingles. Like we got pretty fortunate on this. It was a big tree that came down, and for what happened, it didn't do a lot of damage. There is some damage there, but not nearly as bad as it could have been.
He says that he must have a well-built house because he barely heard the sound of the tree hitting it after it happened. Now, he ran to the store to buy some new blades for his chainsaw and got the tree off the house. And today, well, he's been hard at work cutting it all up. And all that wind kicked up quite a bit of dust. Take a look. This was what our traffic cameras in Winnipeg captured last night around 7 o'clock. The sky was totally obscured, and you couldn't make out the downtown skyline or buildings in some cases. A warning tonight from Winnipeg police to parents and students about a popular game known as Senior Assassin. A young player came face to face with officers who were searching for 2 17-year-old suspects after gunshots were fired in the air. As CTV's Jeff Keel shows you, police say those water guns could be mistaken for the real thing.
Following a close call, Winnipeg police are once again urging graduating high school students to put their water guns away.
The WPS advises against engaging in this activity given the potential risk to players.
Senior Assassin is a live-action outdoor game growing in popularity, where students eliminate each other with water guns until there is a lone survivor. The WPS and RCMP have both cautioned water guns can be mistaken for real ones by members of the public and police officers. Now, they can back up that concern with a real-life example.
It becomes a possibly dangerous situation for not only for the police officers, but obviously for the young adult that was playing the game.
On May 12th and 13th, police responded to 4 real shootings in the West End. On this stretch of Toronto Street, gunshots were fired in the air in a rear lane. While looking for the armed suspects, police came upon a youth holding a water gun who was playing Senior Assassin.
As I can imagine, they would approach with uncertainty as to whether or not that was a real firearm.
Luckily, no one was hurt, but police say officers have to treat anything resembling a gun as the real deal until they know otherwise. Mom, Keisha Boss, says she's encouraged to hear students are playing outside away from their phones or iPads.
It's great to see kids still out and about.
But she says with the amount of firearms on city streets and cops on the lookout, water balloons might be a better option.
A manner that doesn't, bring a little bit of alarm to other people and whatnot, right? Like if you're far enough away, they're not going to notice it's a water gun right away. They're just going to be like, oh no.
Jeff Keel, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Now, as for the actual shootings, police say they arrested 2 17-year-old male suspects wearing face masks. They're both charged with several gun and drug offenses. Well, time now to take a look at the weather, and overnight we're going to be getting down to about 3 degrees, and there's probably likely to be some blowing dust in the air. And your wake-up weather, 4 degrees with a mix of sun and cloud. The wait is over. How many people lined up to get into a new store at Polo Park? Firefighters were called to contain a major fire in Assiniboine Forest last night. When crews arrived around 7:30, they found a blaze about the size of a football field. Firefighters managed to bring it under control within an hour, and no injuries were reported, but it's believed to be human-caused. The city is reminding you fires are prohibited when wind speeds or gusts exceed 25 kilometers an hour. You should also never throw cigarette butts into vegetation, planter pots, or from your vehicle. Tens of millions of dollars is going to start flowing to rural communities across Manitoba to improve internet and transit services. More than 2,300 households from 11 communities are expected to benefit from a federal funding boost to 4 high-speed internet projects. It includes Grand Rapids, York Factory, First Nation, Garden Hill First Nation, Red Sucker Lake, and Moose Lake. Completion dates range from December to March of 2029. 5 transit projects are also getting a boost from the feds. It includes the purchase of a new bus for Arborg and a van for Dauphin, transit feasibility studies for Fisher River Cree Nation and Pine Creek First Nation, along with an active transportation pathway into Tasqueyac Cree Nation. The total funding for all the projects is pegged at more than $63 million. Ottawa is also spending more than $1 billion to upgrade Canada's military aircraft, and millions of that will flow here to Winnipeg. $460 million will be used to prolong service support for the Hercules aircraft fleet until 2029. Now that's where our city comes in. Standard Aero here in Winnipeg is one of 2 companies tasked with doing that support work. Ottawa also plans to spend an additional $685 million on upgrades to the Armed Forces air traffic management technology. Well, heads up if you're planning to take in the great outdoors this long weekend. The opening dates have been pushed back at several campgrounds as there's still too much snow on the ground. Here's a list of those locations up on your screen. It includes Baker's Narrows, Grass River, Porcupine Hills, and 2 locations in Clearwater Provincial Park. The province says no matter where you're going, you should bring your own drinking water, as the cold weather has limited water service in many parks. You're also reminded to not leave campfires unattended and don't burn anything in windy conditions. Well, the wait is over. Japanese retailer Uniqlo has officially opened its first Winnipeg location. More than 1,000 people turned out for the grand opening at CF Polo Park today. The store spans 18,000 square feet and features the brand's beloved elevated basics. To celebrate, the store offered the first 500 customers a commemorative Uniqlo Polo Park tote bag, complimentary cookies and coffee from local brands, and a drumming performance. They also gave out some gifts with purchases. Organizers say a lot of thought and time was put into choosing to open in the Winnipeg market.
Looking at store development, we have a very aggressive plan for the next several years to open more stores, but Winnipeg was the one market where we had a really large online presence, so lots of people shopping online, so there was a demand, and finally we're able to build a retail store. Start to finish, it does take a couple of years from like the leasing, finding the right spots. Definitely within the mall, we take up a large square footage, so we need to make sure that we have the right location.
Uniqlo is also opening another location at St. Vital Centre sometime later this year. Now, coming up a little later, we will have much more on this on our website.
It wasn't a quick and easy decision by any means.
Saying goodbye to a beloved exhibit. Why the Manitoba Museum is dismantling its Delta Marsh and Rye Farm diorama. And we'll have your complete Skywatch forecast when we return. Welcome back. Our first weather picture this evening is this very pretty shot of the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. Michelle, who shot it, calls it beauty in a dust storm. I have to agree. Our second picture tonight is another stunner. It was taken by Tilly as the sun rose over the windmill at the Steinbach Village Museum. She tells us that the colors of the sunrise were changing so quickly, it was like watching the northern lights. Thanks to both of you for sending us the photos. You can send us yours to winnipegweather@ctv.ca. Our weather recently hasn't been picture perfect. That is, unless you like extreme wind gusts and brown skies. But it could be worse. It could be snowing. And in some parts of Manitoba, it is. As we go to the satellite map, you can see the remnants of that low pressure system here that's been bringing both snow and freezing rain to northern Manitoba. Now, we still have freezing rain advisories in the northeast. You could call it the last gasp of that system, but soon enough, it will be gone. However, before that, it's going to be leaving a good amount of snowfall, perhaps about 2 centimeters in the northwest. Now, areas in and around Dauphin and Swan River will see some rainfall overnight. Now, here in Winnipeg, the good news is we will be staying dry. For now. However, it won't last. Unfortunately, on Sunday, there is another low pressure system that's going to be arriving. You can see it on the bottom of your screen. And with it, periods of rain, unfortunately, throughout the day. Wish I had better news for you. Let's take a quick look at some of the conditions you can expect in the days to come tonight and tomorrow. The Manitoba Museum is bidding farewell to one of its exhibits.
It wasn't a quick and easy decision by any means for us.
Deconstruction work is underway on the Delta Marsh and Rye Farm diorama in the Parklands Gallery. Planning for the exhibit began in the mid-90s and was completed in 2003. But the museum is now decommissioning the display because the long-term care and maintenance is beyond its capabilities. They're increasingly dealing with common museum pests like mice, scavenging beetles, and clothes moths.
Because of the authenticity and accuracy of this diorama, it used real plants, actually from Delta Marsh, in the recreation of Delta Marsh. There's natural fibers on the clothing of the farmers. All of that stuff is very appealing to these critters.
The museum is preserving as many of the plant species, animal specimens, and artifacts as it can, including the mural. The removed items will be quarantined, treated, and repurposed where possible. Anything that can't be preserved will be disposed of. The museum expects work to be complete in the next couple of weeks. An AI fountain of youth. Will fans get some satisfaction from the Rolling Stones' new music video? The Rolling Stones have a new album, and they use some new technology to make it happen. So, is this stunt from the Stones a hit or a miss? As Hannah Battah shows you, not everyone is getting satisfaction.
This morning, the Rolling Stones' brand new music video for In the Stars, turning back the clock with the help of artificial intelligence. The clip stars de-aged digital deepfakes of Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Ronnie Wood, looking just like they did 50 years ago. It was created using what the band says is groundbreaking technology from the company Deep Voodoo, and is just the latest example of classic acts embracing AI technology. And I'm trying to find the magic. From Billy Joel, also digitally de-aged for his 2024 video for Turn the Lights Back On. To the the Beatles, AI lifting John Lennon's voice from a 1970s demo tape to create Then and Now.
You know, we're seeing legacy acts really kind of lean into the nostalgia, and part of that nostalgia appears to be de-aging themselves and wanting to, you know, remind people of yesteryear.
But as AI keeps expanding across the entertainment industry, not all stars are fully on board. In recent years, some artists, like Bad Bunny, have spoken out against unauthorized songs and vocals created to sound like them. And just last month, Taylor Swift filing new trademark applications for her voice and image, seeking to shake off any potential AI misuse.
The sight of a big bird sitting shotgun in a retro ride is sparking a lot of joy. As CTV's Adam Sawatsky shows you, well, the parrot is quite popular.
That's Evelyn Fitzsimmons on the balcony, looking through her binoculars, searching for her daughter's favorite thing. Birds.
Well, she goes out to the balcony and, you know, she looks up at them, and, you know, when the ravens do that, like, really, like, throaty sound, she's just like, blap, blap, blap.
When Quinn's not answering the call of the wild ones perched across the street, she's asking to visit the injured ones being rehabilitated at the animal sanctuary. So you can imagine how the toddler felt when she noticed one in a car driving below them, riding on a windshield.
Yes.
That's Quinn's dad yelling from their balcony,
yes,
asking if his daughter could meet the motoring macaw named Admiral Nelson.
He's a good companion. Very good companion.
Jim Turner says Admiral Nelson first bonded with him when the bird was a baby. And for the past 25 years, the macaw has followed his man everywhere.
Been in schools, he's been in hospitals, he's been in old folks' homes. Even when I'm having a shower, he's on my shoulder.
And whenever Jim's getting the car ready, Admiral Nelson is preparing to perch in the passenger seat and seems to relish not just the rides, but the people they meet along the way.
The worst thing for him was COVID, when he had to stay home for a year and a half, and that's when he started pulling feathers out, which is what parrots do when they're unhappy.
But as soon as they returned to visiting others, Jim says Admiral Nelson's plucking decreased, feathers increased, and mood took flight.
The thing is, he's a flock animal. Humans are his flock.
And today, Admiral Nelson is expanding the flock by raising his leg to include Quinn and her family.
Kids waved at him, and that's why he started waving back like he's doing right now.
Quinn responds by raising her arm and sharing more than a few smiles.
And anytime I can put a smile on 30 people's faces is a good day.
So the next time Quinn and her mom are searching for birds up in the trees, they'll also look down on the road in the hopes of waving at their new feathered friend driving by. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Parksville.
An exhibit 65 million years in the making. How Assiniboine Park Zoo is bringing monsters from the past back to life. And we'll have your 7-day Skywatch forecast next.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&Teak Spa Salon.
We're going to have a very nice day on Saturday, sun and cloud, although a bit on the cool side. But look at that. It looks like we're going to get some rain on Sunday. And then as we get into Victoria Day and the rest of the week, cold and likely rain. We'll get ready to travel back in time. Assiniboine Park is ready to kick off the summer season with the opening of 2 exhibits with a prehistoric focus. The zoo's popular Dinosaurs Uncovered is back in action. It features 14 life-sized animatronic dinosaurs along a forested trail. It also includes a T-Rex. Now, next up, the new exhibit, Monsters of the Abyss. It dives into the history and prehistory of modern-day aquatic predators. Visitors will also have the chance to meet and interact with species like the diamondback terrapin, Kalman lizard, and the Asian water dragon, all while learning about the past.
Learn about the ecology of them and why they were so feared. There's actually really cool fossils in there as well, and you go through all the different times in history and kind of learn about where our animals have come from and where they might be going from here.
The exhibits are now open and run through September long weekend, and both are included with regular zoo admission. Looks like a lot of fun. That's going to do it for us. For another look at tonight's stories, you can visit us online at ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. Thanks so much for watching, and good night.